Hey guys, Simon here for the Ether Hub, again bringing you more Magic the Gathering lore. Today's video is again examining some of the most flavorful cards from our return to the storied plane of Dominaria, Sagas. Sagas are uniquely designed to show off some of the best stories of this plane, and today's topic of discussion is no exception. Today let's take a look at the lore told in the Saga of the Mirari Conjecture. When we first look at the art for this card, it may be kind of hard to tell just what the hell's going on. The Mirari Conjecture does this on purpose. Kinda. That's just because this art is telling a different type of story than compared to the other sagas. While other sagas in Dominaria tell of specific events, regions, or people of the plane, the Mirari Conjecture is actually an active research effort rather than a history lesson. As laid out in an article by Blake Ramusin, which you can find linked in the description below, the Mirari Conjecture actually depicts current-day Tolarian scholars attempting to track the magical disturbances caused by the Mirari artifact, tracing it back to various tragedies throughout Dominaria's history. As suggested in the article, researchers are basically deconstructing the history and impact this magical device had on their world. That's why the card's art looks so scientifically sketchy, mappy. You know, it's hard to describe. So that's the story behind this card, but what does it mean? What exactly are the Tolarian scholars mapping? Better yet, what's the Mirari? Glad you asked. Well, the Mirari is an artifact of great magical importance, a device that grants its wielder their wildest dreams, but with a twist. It's like a malicious genie who seems to bring you what you want, but twists it to something disastrous. Actually, yeah, the Mirari is a genie, confirmed. The Mirari was actually created by Karn, the artificial planeswalker who intended the device to be nothing more than, wait for it, a probe. At this time, Karn was chilling on his own metal world, but wanted to keep tabs on his old place back on Dominaria. The Mirari was only meant to do this one purpose, but somehow Karn accidentally created a powerful device that grants wishes, luring people in with promises of power and ultimately destroying them. All for a satellite, essentially. So the Mirari gets stuck on Dominaria, and of course, some foolhardy people find it and use it for their own means. I mean, why wouldn't they, right? And thus started the path of disaster and destruction caused by the Mirari. One of its first victims would be the Mer Emperor, the Salafid named Aboshen. To make a pretty long story short, this Octo-Man had dreamed of an empire spanning the entire world of Dominaria, a plane completely covered in water. With making deals with the Cabal, the owners of the Mirari at the time, Aboshin got his wish. A massive wave rose up and consumed a large portion of a continent, causing untold damage. But remember, the Mirari is a fickle mistress. The spell was all-encompassing and proved too much for the Emperor, backfiring and killing Aboshin. Its power would spark a race to use and try and tame the Mirari. Its next victim was actually not so sad, the young Kabbalist Chainer, who's, not a great person. They found the Mirari and used it to grant their wildest dreams. He gained control of the Cabal, a great desire indeed, but then accidentally destroyed the Cabal's capital city. Chainer used the device to augment and enhance their powerful dementia magic, but as the Mirari tends to do, it overloaded the spell and backfired on Chainer. Chainer was consumed by their own spell, leading to a twisted and haunting death, which is actually depicted on another saga in Dominaria. After the fall of Cabal City, the Mirari would find its way into the hands of the pit fighter Khamal. Khamal believed he could resist its temptations, and for a little bit, he did. But all men can eventually be corrupted, and the power of the Mirari was just too much to deny. Khamal attached the orb to the pommel of his sword, turning it into an actual weapon. With the Mirari sword, he looked to gain influence and lead the before ununited Pardic barbarian tribes. Under his rule, his people would put aside their quarrels, and he'd lead them into never-ending prosperity. Or so he thought. All his ambitions led him to open conflict with his sister, Jeska, which ultimately forced Khamal to injure her with the Mirari sword. Although not killed, Jeska was inflicted with a never-healing wound. In witnessing his downfall at the hands of the Mirari, Khamal left to heal his sister and cast the Mirari to a place it could never be used again. Deep within a dense forest, Khamal plunged the Mirari sword into the earth and left it there in peace. The magic of the Mirari, however, was unrelenting. Even with no one around to tempt and corrupt, its magic spilled into the very forest around it, changing the plants and animals, growing them large and grotesque. However, Khamal would have to return for the Mirari sword because the avatar and false god, Karona, appeared on the scene and was messing shiz up. As his sister, Jeska, was a part of Karona, Khamal saw it fit his duty to end her tyrannical destructive reign on Dominaria. The Mirari sword was just the weapon he needed to end the false god, but he just didn't have it in him to swing the final blow. He was defeated by Karona, but she would still see her end thanks to the betrayal of two of her closest allies. With the Mirari sword in hand, the betrayal was driven deep into Karona's back and the god was no more. The Mirari was finally used for good, in the first time of its entire freaking existence. With Jeska flying out of the god and becoming a planeswalker, the Mirari's creator, Karn, finally appeared to take his little probe home. He had witnessed the destructive events the Mirari had caused throughout Dominaria and decided to take it to some place where it could never harm another soul. His own artificial world of Argentum. This isn't the end of the Mirari's twisted tale, however. Though it would never see Dominaria again, it would be that which ends Karn's artificial home and bring forth the rise of New Phyrexia, still plaguing the multiverse to this day. And that, you guys, is the crazy, different story of the Mirari Conjecture. Yes, the scholars of Tolaria are busy tracking the major events caused by this humble probe, and they almost have it all down. Unfortunately, they don't know the trouble it caused off Dominaria, and how much it could still potentially lead to problems for them in the future. Oh well, maybe Karn will fill them in on that part. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, share it across the multiverse. You can also support Vorthos content here on YouTube by joining the Vorthos Army. Get loads of exclusive content, signed cards, and access to our Discord by checking out our Patreon page linked in the description below. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time here on the Ether Hub.